Well, good morning, YouTube, Streamyard. Welcome back to Partick Hill Station. This is an impromptu uh, recording because I hadn't really planned this. However, a couple of things I'd been working on recently, I thought I might just share with you. So, recently, I've been spending some time on tinkering with the locomotives and just trying to get them to work better, run smoother. And I've been working on a number of Pullmans. I've actually got the three different sets. Well, one of them is incomplete, but I was running into issues with them, so I decided to clean them, try and do a little bit of a service on each of them, and then um, test them all on the track. And one by one, it all began to come together. And what I found was that on one of the points over here, I would just change this one. Let's just see. I've got a very simplified setup here at the moment. Always have issues with the cameras and whatever else is going on. I don't see anybody online at the moment. That might be because I didn't advertise that I was actually going live. Anyway, I'll continue assuming that somebody's watching and listening, but there's nothing on the screen. So over at the points over here under the bridge, I was having a problem with I was having a problem with this dummy car. It just would not go through those points. And, I checked all the wheels, and then I changed them out to the 12.6 Hornby. Wheel sets that I purchased some time ago, and I'm so glad I purchased these. They may have been £10 or something like that, but they're now £20 plus. It's absolutely atrocious. The price has jumped so substantially, and there's no explanation that goes along with it, none whatsoever. So if you try to order a pack of Hornby wheels at £20 or £30, whatever they're going for these days, and then they'd probably add on another £20 or £30 to get it over here to Toronto. I mean, that's just unbelievable. I just cannot imagine doing that. Anyway, so I started out with the original wheel sets, and they obviously had seen their best track over the years, and I decided to replace them, and I did that. And that the points under that bridge there, this kept coming off, and I'm not really sure. Well, at the time, I wasn't sure why that was. However, I continued working away at it. I'm just checking here. There seems to be two people there. Oh, there's Clive. Good morning, Clive. How are you? Good of you to drop by. As I said, I haven't been on here for a while because, well, I was away. And then when I came back, there were so many things to do. And I thought the best way to stay in touch with people was to record some videos and put them up there, and just maintain that connection and let people know what I'd been up to. So how are you doing, Clive? I hope your back's improving and you've got a bit more mobility and less pain. That's good, Clive. Glad to hear that. Anyway, just going back to what I was talking about, that Western Pullman, and I've got the motorized, and this is the dummy. I might look for a couple of carriages, coaches for it, and then that means I've got 2 of the blue Pullman sets, plus I'd have this one, which would be nice. Anyway, so I was working away at this, and it was so frustrating. I worked on it for some time and just could not figure it out. And I went and I tested those points to see if they were level, see if there was an issue with the points somewhere. And it just frustrated me for a while. Found it difficult to resolve, but eventually I did. And what I found was that, you know, at this end here, yeah, right, at that end there, there's a little clip. Mark Hemmel down, good morning. So there's a little clip there that goes into a slot on the body. And I got that in no problem. Tried it again, and still it would continue to come off the track. Let's try to get this working here. Took it apart a number of times, and then I found that the body at that end was a little bit twisted. So I took it off and worked away at it, twisting it back and forth, trying to get it to be a bit more flexible. And then I put it back together, make sure I didn't press too hard in getting it in, because, you know, when you push that end in, there isn't a lot that holds it from going further into the body, and that was part of the issue. So fixed it, got it back on the track, and problem went away. And you know, I was very happy about that. Just find a spot for this. Falling over. Anyway, so who else is here? Well, there you go, Clive. I picked these ones up a number of years back. I never had trains when I was growing up as a kid. It's a long story, and I've told it often enough. And Mark, how are you? Your layout's coming on tremendously. Every time you post a video, it looks better and better all the time. You know, congratulations on everything you've done, and take my hat off to you for your efforts. Looks great. So, you know, here's those. I've got to be careful. I can't. Yeah, that's it. See, I've got a green screen up there of my little diorama, and I should probably try and go in and take it off. I'll do that in a minute. So if you get into the Hornby site or on eBay, and I said this when I first jumped in, that, you know, these wheel sets are like £20–30. It's just unbelievable. I could not afford 20 or 30 pound for a set of wheels. Now, when I bought these, I think I bought 3 or 4 of them at £10 each, and that might have been during COVID. Maybe that's when I did it. And I thought, £10, that's a lot of money. So yeah, you know, that's a lot of money. And but I bought them anyway, and I'm glad I did, because I've used them on the Blue Pullmans, and I've used them on some of my LNER coaches, the Hornby coaches. It's all these plastic wheels that they came with. So anyway, got that fixed, and that was good. So everything seems to be running good. And as I said, I posted a video about the Pullmans, and I did a more recent posting on other servicing, and I don't think I've posted it yet, and I'll get around to that, because I'm on a bit of a roll on doing things. So this morning, before I set this up, I was looking at Double O Rail. Now, the guy is down in Ohio, which is about a 4-hour drive or so for me. And if you're not familiar with Double O Rail, check the guy out, because he's got a great layout. You know, it's not landscaped, but it's a great layout, and he does terrific technical stuff with the locomotives. And you know, the ongoing story with the Ringfield motor. And I just happen to have one here. Just see if I can get this. Yeah, see that's that. Anyway, so we'll try and go with this. So you all know about the cog in there, that alloy cog, as many of them were in those Ringfield motors. Now, for whatever reason, they crack, they wear, and fall off sometime. So that is the case with maybe about 4 Ringfield motors that I've got that are in A4s and a couple of other locals. Anyway, this one here is, I know you can't see it, but it's not falling off, it's just moved a little bit further out, so it's not engaging properly with the plastic cogs. Now, I purchased, and you probably know this story, I purchased the brass cogs, and I went about trying to fit one of them, and I failed miserably. I tried all kinds of things. I tried to heat up the cog, put it in the oven for half an hour at 400, and it just wasn't expanding enough for me to get it on. Now, I used to work in the mineral mining processing industry, where they smelted material to produce titanium and copper and all kinds of exotic metals. But those were running at 2300 degrees. So it's a big difference. Not that I wanted to melt it. I just wanted to be able to make it expand so that I can get it on that shaft. So I corresponded on the chat line with the guy down in Double O Rail. And, you know, he responded right away, as he always does. And he said, yeah, Charlie, I did a YouTube video back in 2019, and it was December 2nd, 2019. Now, just make a note of that, because it's interesting to see what people are doing and the challenges that they face and the solutions that they come up with to overcome them. So in this particular case, what he did was, and he's got a 3D printer just as I do, and he set up like the axle in the software. He measured the diameter of the axle, and then he modeled it, and then he put a sleeve over the top of it, made it a machine fit. Then he deleted the axle. This is all in the model software. Deleted the axle and was left with this sleeve, which was a few millimeters long. And then he put it into his slicer, which enables the printer to interpret the math, and it prints it in the other direction. And then he took it out, cleaned it up, and his particular case was that the alloy wheel just didn't fit anymore. It wasn't cracked, it just didn't fit anymore. And he put it back in place, and then he slipped on this sleeve that he 3D printed. And what that did was, being a machine fit, it kept the existing alloy cog in place so that it meshed with the other plastic cogs. And then he ran it, and it was perfect. I mean, that's reverse engineering at its best in the hobby. And, you know, I take my hat off to him, because I thought that was brilliant. And the other thing I noticed about it was he was printing a small piece of plastic, thinner than a credit card, and with a chamfered edge around all the sides, sort of rectangular shaped. And what he used that for was to slip it into the body of the locos or coaches and slide it to get it to pop off, which is a great idea. And, you know, another reason to go in there to his channel is that he did mention that he might post that STL file as a freebie. Excuse me. So that saves you from having to make one and then print it. And you might not have a printer. So what you can do is you can get the STL file and send it to somebody you know that's got a printer, and have them print a couple off for you. And it wouldn't cost them anything, like pennies, to do that. So getting back to the actual issue with the cog itself. Now, in this case, it is a brass cog that's in there. Oops, there you go. It's a brass cog in there. Now, you won't be able to see it, but it kind of moves in and out, because it's sprung loaded. And, you know, if I if my 3D printer was working, I'd probably do this, and I would take this apart, print out one of those little sleeves and stick it on there. And that would solve the problem in this one. Now that doesn't solve all my problems. So the other part of the problem is this. Now I'm going to, let's see for a second here. Well, let me have a look, and I'll try and show you here. All right. So the most honourable Andy Russell, if you're watching, this is in honour of you. As you see, I've got the little vise there and the C-clamp. Now, Andy and I had discussions over the last year about this very same problem and how it should be, how we might resolve it. Now, Andy talked about doing this, but he never recorded it. And I was never really sure how he managed to do it. But I'll try and explain it. Get a little bit closer here. Now, the whole idea is I don't have a motor that's completely open, but this is how it would work. We drop this in. So we drop this in so that, and I think I really have to take the whole thing apart so that there's pressure on that pin, if you can see it. On the other side of the brass cog. So you need pressure on that, and that would come from this part of the vise. On the other side where the cog is, I need to get either a nut or a sleeve, like this is difficult here. I need to get a nut or a sleeve that is not as large as the outside diameter of that cog. There. And still allows that pin to move in and out. And then I need to get it in there and gently apply pressure to the nut that I'd be putting on there so that it would push that cog back in. So that is the theory. And you know, we hope that it will work. So one thing I've been thinking of is, don't know if you can see that. But that comes from a Triang controller. That's the one that you screw down on top of the wires as the wires come out the controller. I know I've got a controller around, just let me see. Yeah, so there's the Triang controller. As per John Chams 123. Where are you, John, when we need you most? So this goes over the top of there, and you screw that on, as you can probably see. Hopefully you can see that. There you go. So that screws down on top of the wire, and then away you go. So what I would do is I would take this and put it over the top. Now, you probably wouldn't be able to see this one, but let's see. I've got so much stuff around here, I can never find anything. Try it this way. So I would take that and put it on there like that. And what that enables me to do is to apply pressure to the cog only. So that's the plan. Yeah, well, Clive, the biggest challenge that I face is if I buy anything from the UK, it costs an absolute fortune to get it posted over here. And, this has never been explained. I don't know what the reasoning is behind it, that it would cost so much. You look on eBay, and I've looked at a couple of items. So let's say there's a local one there used, and it's maybe £40. Well, some of these guys are asking £30 to post it. It just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, yeah, I should write to Peter Spears, and because I've got a list of things that I would like, small things, and ask him to give me a quote on the price. Now, the thing about Hattons was, and I bought the odd item from Hattons over the years. You would buy the item, and then they would deduct the VAT and apply it to the cost of postage, and it worked out a good deal. And they never ripped you off, and that was great. So the service was always good there, right? But that's the problem, and I'll need to work on that, see if I can resolve it. So another thing I'm going to be doing is I bought these little lights. Oops. Isn't that magic? It can go in and out. right? So I bought those little lights, and when I was in the States, I bought this light hub. Yeah, there it is. Um, and it was $20 US. Now, 40 cents on the dollar, uh, you know, exchange rate, brought it up to about 28, thereabouts. Can't remember. But this is a little hub where you plug those lights into, and nice little diagram there, explanation on how you should do it, and simple enough. And then all you need is a 5-volt battery, power adapter, wall plug, in other words. So that's something that I need to work on. So other things that I have been working on that you may have seen. Yeah, let me just. The other thing I've been working on, a couple of things actually, is additional tenement buildings. And, you know, if you're not familiar with Boomer's diorama, Boomer is out in Vancouver area, and he's built, and the guy is a prop maker. He was in TV and movies doing props, and an artist, and he's like just outstanding at what he does. And you should check him out. North American trains, but that's not the point. It's how he does it and the techniques and the value that he brings to the hobby. Just incredible stuff. So Boomer commented that, yeah, well, you know, there's a lot of guys out there will use cardboard and paper to make buildings. He says, that's fine if that's your bag. He said, it's not for me. I need something permanent, something that will last, that will not fall apart, that I can put on display somewhere, etc., etc. So he uses plastic art, and he makes videos on exactly how he makes them, how he paints them, how he weathers them, and then you just look at them and they're brilliant, like tremendous. So I accepted his challenge, and I've started, you may have seen, the process of building another tenement building using plastic art. You know, right or wrong, I chose to start out with 2mm plastic art. And I don't know if you've ever worked with this stuff, but it can be challenging trying to cut it, right? And what I've done is I got my drafting tools out, and I laid it all out for the windows and the close, as they call it, the door, and the entrance into the tenement building. And then I followed his instructions, and I began to drill holes around the openings for the windows, etc. And that's laborious, and like trying to focus in, make sure that I don't go over that line with the drill, pretty challenging. And the idea is you drill all the way around the opening, and then that makes it easier to cut the opening, and then you just have to file it down. So I don't know how long that's going to take me, but it will take me some time. So I've got that started in parallel. Yeah, keep it simple, Charlie, right? In parallel, I've got this other one going. I'm using Foamex. Now, if you're not familiar with Foamex, it's kind of, it's not foam core. It's soft. It's white. It's soft and very usable, easy to cut, and makes things so much easier when you're constructing stuff. Anyway, I've got that going in parallel, and we'll see how it goes. And I'm trying to make progress on both tracks there, and I'll do a little bit of work on it, maybe enough to get an update, and then I'll post that and carry on along those lines, as they would say. So I treated myself to a rail call track cleaner. I don't know if you guys use them, but I decided to try it. I've got the track cleaner, and I use that, and I also use that track cleaner, the permanent way department. You may remember that one from Triang, and it's got the piece of scrubbing material on the bottom there, as you can see. And you know, I soak it in isopropyl alcohol, and I put it in front of a local and send it around, and that helps partially clean the wheels on the loco and whatever the loco is pulling. Alex nutting, here we go. Like to Brightline video, wish they would make a model locomotive cars. I'd make a layout for it. How often to use the track cleaner? Well, first of all, Alex, welcome. I'm not sure if you've been on here before, but I have seen your name, and I know you commented on that that Brightline. Where are you located, Alex? I think you're in the States. Yeah, you know, I drove from Tampa to Orlando, and you know, if you're not familiar with the airport and the parking sites, nothing there. Eastern Florida. Oh, okay, well, you will know how to get there. So we went to the airport and then followed the directions that I had, and it was a little bit confusing. But we eventually found it, the parking lot, that is. So then from the parking lot, you get on a bus. And if you follow some of the directions that are posted, it is quite confusing. And you read it, and it sounds as if you've got a huge distance to walk to get to the Brightline station, but that's not true. Once you get upstairs, turn left and go to that parking area, and then it's a short walk across a bridge to the station. What was disappointing was they wouldn't allow me down onto the platform. But if you go back downstairs at the side of that building, you saw there were these big glass windows, and I was able to film from there. And yes, Alex, it's a great looking locomotive. And that is a wrap. My wife worked for 3M, and that was the type of material that she would sell. Anyway, great looking locomotive, and I had seen in the newspapers down there, or saw on video as a follow-up, the crashes that it was involved in with all these stupid people trying to cross over the track and getting walloped by the train. They have to do something about that, because I think it would just continue. GWR Buckley, hey, how are you? Nice of you to drop by. So we're talking about the Bright Line in Florida, and I've read that they're going to expand that system to a number of locations. Now in Florida, Alex, you will know this, they've already started the process of extending the line east out of the station and across down to Tampa, and then it will continue down the coast to Naples and then back over to Miami, and that will be just fantastic. That would be a great trip just to take, just to go all the way around. So yeah, I wonder who will pick up a challenge and make that. You know, a Thern, Bachman USA, because I think that would be a winner. I'm not really sure which one of these model railway companies actually manufacture their passenger locomotives, but or the passenger sets, but they should jump on the wagon, so to speak, and do that one for sure. So oh, Pete Waterman, no, I haven't. Which one? I've seen some of the sort of recent ones of the layout. Different people have posted, and he too has posted. Yeah, that's the. No, as I say, I haven't, but I'll look for it. Oh, and back to Alex. Alex, you know, I was in consulting engineering for many years, and we had an office in Tampa. So I was asked to go down there to go and help a project that was having challenges. So that's the kind of thing that I did. And I went down, and I was there Monday to Friday. So I'd fly down on a Monday morning, fly back here on the Friday afternoon, and work 40, 50 hours in between. I didn't see much of Tampa because I was working. Oh, the passengers are Walthers. Yeah, you know, I might just follow up and search around and see who is thinking about making that train. Because if you want something different, that is different, because the livery is like, it's so fresh and colourful. It would look great. Now, I'm just trying to think of what else is going on here. So I've serviced, I don't know, 2 or 3 of these, and of different vintage. one a little bit older. Like this one here is a little bit older. The wheels are heavier, and that's how you can tell. I can't remember which issue this was, but it runs great now. They all do after a good clean. And you know, all you need to do is oil it, put grease on the one wheel, clean the brushes, clean the wheels, and it'll make a big improvement. But what I would say is the trailing bogie sometimes is a problem. It will come off the track, as will the front bogie. Now, in this case, let's see. In this case, you can see that is a split axle there, and that is a problem. That shows you how old that is. So I'm not sure also how much play there should be in that. Maybe I have to put another washer in there, tighten it down more, and then the same goes for this front bogie. It's very floppy, and I don't think it should be like that way. Now, as you see, as you see there, on that bracket, there's a hole there, and there's a hole down here on that front bogie. Now, I don't think they line up perfectly. In fact, they don't. But somewhere in some of the service sheets, I'm sure I saw that there was a spring in some of these. And maybe that would resolve the problem. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's been a number of things going on. Let's see what's happening. Hey, Clive, yes, we'll see you, and hope the weather's okay. It's brightening up here, bluer skies, and we had a sprinkling of snow the other day, but it's gone, and we've got snow tires on the one vehicle. I'm not going to take them off just yet because you never know what's coming down the tube, as they say. Now, here's my other challenge. Now, I think I'll use the other camera for this. Okay. So this is the Hornby Pendolino. And that's the one where that card burnt out. Now, if I rotate that around, you might just be able to see in there on the underside of that card where it burnt out. I'm not sure if it was the chip, but the card, I guess, is fried because it smoked. Anyway, So I tried to replace that card. This was during COVID, and it proved very difficult. And so I let it go because I couldn't get anybody to supply me with the parts that I needed. But I checked the motor, and the motor seems to be okay. And I think when I was talking with Barnabas Junction, I think it was Barnabas, Jason said, I don't want to say it was Jason. Whoever it was I was speaking with about this topic had said, well, what you should do is just take these wires here and connect them up to the wires under there. So the power would be coming, the power would be coming from the bogie, from the motor, back up to here. Now, these lights work, so that's a good thing. So I just need to get the electrical diagram that shows clearly how these are connected. Now, it could very well be that if I follow that TR M plus M negative TL, that might be an insight into how I can get those wires hooked up. It shows on the it shows on the diagram. If you get into some of the Hornby, Triangle Hornby sites and where they store the service sheets, it shows the wiring, but not clear enough that I can discern what goes where. So that's another project that I've got to do. So sometime today, I'm going to have a go at a couple of things. I might try and drill more holes in that plastic card because I've got a smaller drill that I should be able to use and get more holes drilled. But the other thing that I want to do is continue the construction of my overhead gantry. Now, you know, I've got the posts constructed and all I need to do is work on the gantry, and what my intention is to set up two pieces of wood as a jig, and then I can put in, if I decide to use angle shaped plastic for the top and bottom cord of the gantry, put them in place against the two small pieces of wood, pin them so that they don't move around, and then start dropping in. And yeah, hi Sean, yeah. And then drop in the diagonals, which will be made either of, okay, I need to, okay, so one of these, excuse me for a moment. Yeah, sometimes those bogies jump off for no apparent reason. That's been going for half an hour or so. Oh, actually, nearly an hour without any issue. So, yeah, what I intend doing is using plastic card structural sections for the top and bottom cord on both sides. So I'll construct one which will be made up of either a square tube for the top and bottom cord or angles. And then I will have mapped out the locations of the diagonals that will go on to tie it all together. So I'll make two of those, and then I will make another jig or change the locations of the jig, and I'll start dropping in tie members. Maybe what I do is I set up the two sides in the jig, knowing that it's the correct length and that they're square and they're not warped. And then I can tie the ends together, top and bottom. And then that means I've got a complete gantry. Then all I have to do is drop in either angle iron or rods for the diagonal members, and it's done. So I'd be happy if I was able to accomplish that. And I know there's a couple other things that I've got going. I should have made notes so that I could talk about them. But yeah, it's important not to give up on a locomotive that doesn't work. It doesn't take a great deal of skill. You're able to, you don't even have to take them all apart. In the case of those Princess locos, I didn't take them all apart. Neither did I do the same with that shunter. I didn't take it all apart, but what I did do was, first thing was I cleaned it with electrical contact cleaner. I blasted it with that. And then I cleaned everything with isopropyl alcohol. So that was a good start. And then I made a point of just squeezing the top of the brushes. Didn't need to take them off because, it's a pain in the backside to put them back in again. But I then squeezed a Q-tip in there that I preloaded with the isopropyl alcohol, and I cleaned it all off. And then I cleaned off the wheels and the copper pickup, and I put grease onto the worm gears, and I oiled the pads. There's two pads on there. Make sure that bearing in there is got an appropriate amount of oil on it, and it ran great. And all of these Pullmans, no, sorry, not all of them, but some of the Pullmans, some of the other locos of that era, I've got one of these. And it's not that challenging. So, if something doesn't work on you, what you don't want to do is throw it in a drawer. And, here's another example. I've still to work on this one, but it's missing the nut from the top there. And I'm going to go in there, and I think I've already cleaned those worm gears, but yeah, that's still to be done. So don't be afraid of that. And this one is from a class 47. Now, what's special about this one is let's just get the other camera. Okay, so there. It's a bit challenging to do this. All right, so that's better. So you see those little caps? The caps that cover the springs in there. I need to find a couple of those because they keep popping off. Because this is the old Fleischmann Ringfield motor, as you can see. It's quite different. But when it's working, it works really well. So I need to find a source for them. I've tried here and haven't been able to find them. However, and I've got, that's for this one, and I've got two of these. Now, let's move this around here. Oh, there you go. So there is here in the Toronto area, there is a model railroad flea market coming up a week tomorrow. Now I'm going to go there with a list, and on the list will be those little caps, because I might, there'll be people there probably have Fleischmann, because it's primarily railroads, not railways. Although I imagine there might be one or two guys selling British stuff. So I'll go looking for that, and I'll make up a list of things that I might find useful or things that I need. And I don't want to go there not knowing what I want, because I'll end up buying something I don't want. You know how it goes. And I might even take along that class 31 British Rail blue and grey livery and 3 coaches that are HO. I told you that story years back. I bought them, think, oh, it's a great little set, and it was like under $100. Great, but when I brought it back here and put it up against the rest of the stuff, it was the wrong size, and that was by Lima, and it's actually in. I've got the catalogue where that is in. Anyway, so I'll go looking for that. The other thing I've still to resolve, and I've been procrastinating on it, and that is my shuttle. Now, Tom was helping me with this, and I never got to finish it. Life and things got in the way. Then I was away for the winter and so on and so forth. But I need to get that solved. I've got it all wired up, and I'll show you that. So there is the wiring at the one end, and there is the wiring with the sensor at the other end. And then the instructions said, add in wiring here, which is midway along the length. So remember, this goes from here all the way around and then back to the station there. So then you've got to run all those wires back here to that unit. So I've run the wires coming up from the different locations, 3 different locations. Now, what I need to do is get them into these clips and make sure I got them in the right ones. And then what I need to do is I need to attach a 5-volt adapter or plug, and I found one in a store, in a charity shop. Found one there. So that's and talking about procrastination. I did a bit of research on that, and what I found is that it's they say it could be a lack of confidence. So if you don't have any confidence in the topic or the subject or whatever it is you want to do, you will put it off infinitely. And I tend to agree. I think that is very much the case. Like, I'd like to do this, but hey, like, I'm not that confident at doing that, so maybe I won't bother doing it, right? I'll leave it, and maybe by osmosis it might happen, but we know that's not the case. Anyway, I think I've bored you long enough, because that's just over an hour now. And Alex, thanks for dropping by. Mark Hemmeldown, Clive Cobold, and Sean, appreciate you dropping by also. I hope you found it interesting or funny, whatever it is. And I'll try and get back on here on a Saturday and do a quick live session. And just as I say, the Pullman stopped back there for no apparent reason after running for an hour. Yeah, it might be because tracks up there are just a little bit too close together. I've not got them tied down, and that might be part of the problem. So anyway, thanks very much everybody for dropping by. As I say, I hope you enjoyed it, and remember to give me the big thumbs up. You know how it works, or maybe you don't, because I don't. Not sure why I'm not making progress here. So yeah, we'll catch you next time here at Partick Hill Station. Bye for now.